everyone. It's the James and Greg Show.
Look, we have a strange person with us today.
Yes, we do.
What's your name?
Paul.
Oh.
And
Leonard.
guess what Paul does?
What do you do, Paul?
Post-production.
Guess what show?
What do you want me to say?
We'll say
Many shows.
Battlestar Galactica.
Battles. That's why we're here today.
What were you going to say? Battlestar?
Battlestar.
And the upcoming show name is AMC The Sun. So stick around.
Today we have a special guest.
Who do we have?
Paul
Leonard.
Leonard. Paul Leonard.
Yeah, as you can tell, he's really been researching. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I just
great.
met Paul.
Thank you, Greg. How are
and we
you
love
today?
him.
We do.
Immediately.
We love James.
Immediately.
Yes.
So Paul's here because he is in the entertainment industry. So you worked at Bochco, right?
I did. Worked at Bochco and then found my way to post-production in '96.
What is post-production?
Dating myself.
What is post-production?
Post-production is everything that happens to a television show after it's been photographed. So while a show is shooting,
Yes.
I'm responsible for getting film or tape transferred into the hands of the editors, and then I oversee a department of editors, assistant editors, post supervisor, post coordinator,
So you're
visual
basically-
effects, music, sound.
You make the show presentable.
Yes,
And you deliver the final.
indeed.
Oh, okay.
So I have to, kind of supervise each episode getting built, and then going through director's cut and producer's cut, studio cut, network cut, and receiving a lot of creative notes and feedback, and then essentially getting that thing to air.
Let's talk about like some of the shows you worked on.
Right.
So, do you want to go front, like current to backwards a little?
Well,
No, let's start
Or
with
just
96.
go everywhere?
Right.
96.
I know.
We're
It's
going
crazy,
way
right?
back.
Yeah.
Some of you kids aren't even born yet.
Look on Netflix, you'll find these shows.
So
1996.
but
You
so-
came over in a covered wagon and did what?
I'll try to remember
Gunsmoke?
it all.
Was it in color?
It was in color. I was first hired on Sliders, produced by Universal Television.
Who was
for
in
Fox.
that?
Sherry
That was
O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell, John Rhys-Davies, Sabrina Lloyd, Corey Ward.
fun.
Yeah,
Show a little picture of that. So,
Love sliders.
do that.
Except for the last couple.
And I worked on Sliders for 80 episodes, which was kind of amazing. After season 3, Fox canceled the show,
Right.
and SCIFI picked it up, and Universal produced it for SCIFI Channel. And so I ended up essentially being promoted from post PA to associate producer over the course of that series. So I'm very fond of it.
then what happened?
Then what happened? Well, once
80
I landed on Sci-Fi's radar, they kept asking for me back. I ended up working on The Invisible Man for 2 seasons,
Right.
little-known show starring Vincent Ventresca and Paul Ben Victor.
Great show. I enjoyed
It's
it.
a fun show.
Yeah.
Did that for 2 years, and then I worked on some creature features. Not Sharknado. It was before Sharknado.
That was a good one though.
If I had worked on Sharknado, I probably would have spelled my name differently. And
It'd be Leonard Paul.
exactly, my evil twin.
They have good actors on Sharknado.
That could
When?
be absolutely.
Don't you remember the great acting?
Anyway,
When I think of Sharknado, great acting comes to mind.
Okay.
so I worked on some creature features, some $2 million, hour-and-a-half long, 90-minute TV movies that were hoping to become pilots. I did that for a year and a half. It was challenging and great fun. And then was asked to work on Battlestar Galactica. So I worked on the pilot of Battlestar Galactica and stayed on that for 4 seasons as the associate producer, and then became co-producer through the finale, and also Razor and The Plan and all those other kind of
Right.
ancillary Battlestar titles, and then Caprica and Warehouse 13
Oh yeah.
and Alphas Season 1 and Dominion Season 1 and Defiance for 3 seasons.
Defiance, Julie.
Julie Benz.
Love
Fabulous.
her. Hi, Julie Benz.
Hi,
And-
Richard Roscoe.
And then I, lastly for them, worked on Childhood's End, which was a 6-hour miniseries.
Right.
It was quite expensive and very complicated.
And it ended,
And it ended.
just like childhood.
Indeed. And then and now I'm working on a Western for AMC, something completely different, starring Pierce Brosnan, called The
Ooh.
Sun, and I'm very excited about that.
Sexy guy.
Wow.
He's a sexy guy.
So would you say up until this point in your career, because obviously it's not over, that Battlestar is the highest profile thing that you've worked
Absolutely.
on?
I'm hoping The Sun replaces that, but absolutely Battlestar
Right.
is kind of my street cred.
Yes, because it took you to Defiance, which took
So I
you
love
to
that you
Julie
watched
Benz.
Defiance.
Yes, I love me some
Defiance is-
Julie.
Oh, she's great.
Well, since you were on Battlestar from the pilot, did people have a feeling it would be as culturally significant as it is in the sci-fi community when they were doing it? Or?
I'm hoping to give some little known, shed some light on some interesting ideas
Right.
about Battlestar. The 4-hour miniseries pilot, before we were finished with it, was tested with, it was kind of a marketing effort to bring in an audience and show them this Project Cold to see what they thought, and they hated it. So
All 4 hours?
They showed them all 4 hours.
Oh, well, that's why I would hate it.
Without commercials,
can't
without
sit there.
commercials, it's 3 hours long.
That's
So-
still too long.
and
That's
the
a
visual
lo-
effects weren't complete, and it wasn't the final
Oh
audio
my God, I
mix.
would totally hate it.
So, but the score was low, and Sci-Fi decided,
Wah, wah.
oh well, we tried. So they let the actors go from their contracts.
Were they not the same actors that are in it?
They are,
Oh, okay.
which I'm sure led to some interesting renegotiations with contracts.
Yes.
So, but when the miniseries aired, it got great critical response and big numbers.
Right.
And
Wow.
what was really cool was it was two 2-hour movies, and the second night, the numbers went up 20%.
That's awesome. Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. So
That-
everyone tuned in, and Sci-Fi went, "Uh-oh, we got to make this show." So they renegotiated deals, and we started making 13
Well,
episodes.
plus it was a built-in brand with Richard Hatch. And
Yeah, but it's kind of a damaged brand a little bit.
what are you gonna call?
was-
You
you
calling Richard Hatch damaged?
There was a little bit of baggage, I
Right.
would say. I think that the show got
Baggage?
people to watch it
People
because of the
liked it.
title.
The name. Yeah.
Well, but
They
it was
like it. Wasn't
but we-
Aaron Gray on that too? The original?
I think that was.
no, you're Buck. That's
Buck
Rogers.
Buck Rogers.
Oh, I like Buck Rogers.
We set out to make a serious and grim show. The executive producers, David Icke and Ron Moore, wanted to make The Wire or West Wing set in space.
Wow.
So we were trying to make a very gritty, dark adult drama. But I imagine there were fans of the original 79 Battlestar that tuned in and went, what the hell's this?
Right.
So,
Now, the effects, the way it was shot, like for the space battles,
Yeah.
was more like a video game at the time, right? It had that kind of POV and the shaking. You're trying to zoom
Right.
in on a specific thing. Was that unique for television? Because I don't remember seeing it before then, and now I see it all the time.
to be quite honest, the visual effects house that we hired for the pilot, Zoic, had also worked on Firefly.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And they had, and that technique could be found in about half a dozen shots in Firefly. And the producers responded to it, and they wanted, what would you say, pay an homage to it.
Yes.
It was a good idea
Inspired
that we inspired by.
Well,
so
plus all
so
the
that,
Comic-Con people love Firefly, and then
Absolutely.
this would be perfect for you all.
and so the style of the show was always supposed to feel like a documentary and like kind of a slice of life. And so that handheld look really played well with
Right.
the visual effects shots.
Yeah, it stood out to me
Yeah.
watching it.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the stars of the show. Like,
Well, before
we
we
were.
start, I have one other thing.
Why?
Why? Something he may not know. So they were developing Battlestar prior to Ron Moore's deal
True.
with Bryan Singer and his producing partner Tom DeSanto
Exactly.
for Fox.
It was a 2-hour
2-hour.
pilot for
And
Fox.
I was doing marketing at Universal at the
Right.
time, so I had the script and
Right.
met with Tom DeSanto, and it was completely different to what Ron had. It was a 20 years later,
the children of.
the children of, but then they bring back Apollo
Right.
and all that. They kind of had the big reveal at the end is the skins that you had and that Ron had with the
Right.
Cylons.
Cylons. Yeah.
That was the big reveal at the end, is that the old cast members were Cylons in disguise.
Oh wow.
Sorry to ruin it for you.
Goodness.
But yeah, it wasn't very good.
I'm just confused about skins.
Here's what I heard about that project, because when I was working on The Invisible Man, I heard about this and I tried to get a job on it and learned that it was ultimately kind of scuttled.
Right.
Like they were in pre-production,
Uh-huh.
they had spent some money, and apparently Bryan Singer read the script and said, "It needs too much work. We're going back to page 1, and I'm going to go make X-Men 2."
Right.
So
Oh,
like the
wow.
deal kind of fell apart because it
Right.
was going to be Universal Television producing for Fox
Right.
because Singer had a deal at Fox, and so that went away. And then David Icke, who was a producer with a deal with Universal Television, if that's what they were calling it at that particular time, was given an opportunity to come up with kind of a fresh idea.
Right.
And he, as a studio exec, had hired Ron Moore to work on some shows like Good vs. Evil, GVE for
right.
USA, and was a fan of Ron's work. And apparently they struck up a dialogue, and Ron was excited to do something. Honestly, he was excited to explore a lot of ideas that he could not produce at Star Trek.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Right, because they were kind of locked in.
Yes.
So how many
kind of
episodes were there of Battlestar Galactica?
I want to say there was 80. I'd have to count them.
And then how many actors died? Like, cause
Spoilers.
no, it was on so long ago it could be spoiled.
I
Well,
know.
there was any number of guest stars and kind of co-stars that were killed, like Alosha and Kat, but Starbuck, unfortunately, is one of the principal.
Oh, I loved him.
Oh, yeah, and that was a great reveal.
What do you mean? What are you saying? I'm confused. What was the reveal? Your face went
watch
crazy.
it.
You just talk about it.
She, honestly, there may be some people watching this who don't know when Starbuck died, because
Right.
that seemed to be a question at a Comic-Con panel I was on a couple of years
Really?
ago.
I thought it
For Defiance?
It was
Because I thought I saw you at
very
the Defiance.
I was not on the. There was like a Battlestar 25th anniversary from like the original '79 show.
Oh, right, yeah,
or
yeah.
something
Oh,
like
okay.
that. And so Richard Hatch actually led this panel, and Eddie James Olmos was on it, and they asked me to participate. And anyway, there was about 7 or 8 of us on there. But Starbuck actually dies in episode 316, called Maelstrom.
Maelstrom.
She comes back as a character at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mystery about her return, whether she's a ghost or a Cylon or we don't know what.
Ooh.
And it's not finally revealed until the exciting finale.
Which
Battlestar.
was she a skin? No, she's
She's
a
a-
Cylon.
She's a ghost. She's an angel.
Angel.
She came back as an angel.
That was great.
I have to say,
Well,
no, hang on a second.
Why are you-
I love the show.
I know.
I love the show. The finale could not please everybody, but I thought it did some really exciting things. When I read the script for the finale, I cried. I cried. I cried at the reveal of Starbuck. I was very moved by it. Somehow it did not quite translate.
right.
I think that kind of unrequited love between Lee and Starbuck hurt so bad.
Right.
Where can we get this right now? Is it on Netflix? Where is it, Greg?
I
I don't know. I'll look and it'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll put
Okay.
it on the lower third.
think it's a great show.
So,
And a lot of people say it was one of the early kind of binge-worthy shows.
yes, I would give it and Babylon 5, because it was one big 5-year story arc, just like yours.
Right. Cool.
So, any other fun stories from Battlestar? Because I'd like to talk about the Sun briefly too, but
Well, it's something again that I don't think it's been spoken about, and I think I'm not sure why, is that there was a fair amount of improvisation
Really?
by the cast
Wow.
on Battlestar. There's a few incidents that I think are really standouts. One is the first day that Edward James Olmos worked on the pilot. He gives this big speech about I know where Earth is, and I'm going to take us there. It's essentially near the very end
Right.
of the miniseries. And he leads that speech with the phrase, "So say we all," which he did on the spur of the moment, my understanding. He just led with this. It was something he picked up from the end of Alosha's reading from the Sacred Scrolls. And you have all these dead pilots on the deck that are covered in the different flags
Right.
of their colonies. And what's scripted is she ends this prayer with "So say we all," which is essentially Amen in this culture.
Oh, wow.
And then Eddie Olmos kind of steps out, faces the crew of the Battlestar, and leads with "So say we all." A long pause, then he yells it, and then some people reply "So say we all," then he yells it a third time, then more people respond. And that was all very organic and on the day. And
Wait, so none of the actors, that was
nobody
all
knew it was
improv.
happening.
Right.
But then the actors would call back, like
it's a
respond.
total response. Yeah.
Eddie is a
Wow.
brilliant actor who, as Mary McDonnell once said, is so incredibly present that he really connects with you in a scene, and sometimes he takes it somewhere that you're not expecting, but he's always in character, and he elevates everyone's performances
Right,
around.
because they go along for the ride.
Yeah.
And like enjoy it.
And they do a
Wow.
callback to that
Oh, yeah.
throughout the series.
Yeah, that
So
becomes
say we
literally
all?
like a battle cry for the series.
Right.
Another brilliant anecdote, I think, is Erin. You be the judge.
Yes.
Is Erin Douglas, who played Tyrol.
Okay. this picture?
He was only, I believe that he only had 6 scripted lines in the pilot.
Oh.
And he was not thought of as kind of a series regular.
Okay.
And he ad-libbed one day on set, and the director of the pilot, Michael Reimer, loves improvisation. He directed a movie called Perfume, starring Michelle Williams, that
I love
apparently
her.
they had an outline, and they got in front of the camera and just saw where it went, and it got into Sundance, and that was several years before he made Battlestar. So he's very much about like finding the reality and the drama and what the characters would be doing and saying. And so one day Erin said something, tagged the scene with something that was not scripted.
Uh-huh.
And David Icke was on set with Michael Reimer, and they both thought it was a good addition to the scene. So they approached him and said, "We'd like you to do more of that." And at one point it became, "You're not on tomorrow's call sheet, but we want you to show up and be the chief, be Tyrol." And so, among other things, there's a speech that his character gives after we first learn we've been attacked by the Cylons, where he says, "Let's get this old girl ready to roll. You've got what it takes. Let's go kick some Cylon ass."
Yeah.
And that was all off script.
Oh, wow.
So Erin ended up ad-libbing a fair amount in the pilot that stayed in the show because we all thought it was great, and became a series regular on the show, and quite dramatically, spoiler, is revealed to be a Cylon at the end of season 3.
Yeah, he's pivotal too.
Yeah, he's fabulous.
Now, when someone ad-libs, do they get any kind of writer credit?
No.
That's
But and I do want to say one thing that I think really, the writing of the show was fabulous. I mean, but it's very rare in television, especially, that you'll find a writer, showrunner, writing staff that will allow it and encourage it, who might recognize it as, "Oh, that's better than what we wrote," or, "Oh yeah, let's include that. It's a good idea that we hadn't thought of."
Plus, it's a skill on the actor's part too.
You never see it. But by engaging the cast in that way, I think it elevated the show for everybody.
That's awesome.
Now, in editorial, which of course is my department, you end up with kind of an embarrassment of riches.
Yes.
And we had episodes, every episode of the show, we needed to make about 43-minute show without commercials. And every episode of the show was somewhere between 10 and 35 minutes
over
too long.
Oh no!
In its first assembly.
Oh my gosh.
Which is amazing.
Now, could you imagine if the
cut that
show was
down.
on now, like on AMC or FX, or where they don't care about the length? They let you do
Or if
it
it was
as
on
long?
Netflix.
Well, on Netflix, but like
Yeah.
Fargo, they had some episodes that were an hour and 15 minutes long, and an episode that was like 48 minutes long.
Yeah.
They let us serve the story.
Now, I have to say, it's probably good that we had some restrictions because we had to keep the pace up, we had to keep the tension
Agreed.
up. But what ended up happening was really an internal dialogue and editorial. Just all of us, it's kind of water cooler chat about, gosh, I really love this and I don't know how to get the show to time. Started to become a dialogue about, wait a minute, what if we took that other scene we cut out of the previous episode and put it here, and maybe we could make a second part. Like literally, maybe we could grow it and actually drop an episode from the schedule. And so that happened in season 2 with Resurrection Ship, and it happened in season 3 with a show called Exodus Part 2.
Wow.
There was never a scripted Exodus Part 2. But we ended up internally, the editors, myself, my support staff, ended up talking about what we'd really love to see, and we went to David Icke and Ron Moore and said, before we get upset and try to figure out how to cut 35 minutes out of this episode, we think we should cut about 5 or 6 minutes out that don't work and augment it with these other ideas. And they went, that sounds cool. And they went and pitched it to SCIFI, and you got like one day of production pickups, and you ended up with the whole second hour of the show.
They must have loved that. That's
Well,
a
they
nice
saved
budget.
a bunch of money, and we
Yeah.
threw a bunch of visual effects money at it. And that particular episode, Exodus Part 2, was nominated for 3 Emmys,
awesome.
including Best Director, and it won for Best Visual Effects.
Oh,
Ta-da!
you didn't bring them with you?
Yeah, where are those?
My job is one of support and guidance, but not necessarily recognized by the Television Academy. Oh my God, thank you. So the visual
got two,
effects,
though, right?
the visual effects artists,
Salt and pepper.
the visual effects team that we had were incredibly gifted and dedicated to the show, and we were so fortunate to have them.
So that was then. Now you're
Yes.
working on The Sun, right?
The Sun,
For AMC,
right?
and Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan's the lead. He's a fabulous guy and a wonderful actor on the show. It premieres in April. We made 10 episodes season 1. It's based on a book, which I highly recommend, called The Sun, S-O-N.
Oh, The
It was
Sun.
published
S-O-N.
Published
Okay.
about, I think, 4 years ago, written by Philip Meyer. And the book, it's important, the book is I think it's over 500 pages, and it essentially spans a family in Texas from about 1847 to 2010.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is the Western.
The Western.
And it has
So-
nothing to do with space.
Nothing. No.
Oh, they're all robots. You find out season 2.
Oh
Stop
my
it,
gosh, that's
Greg.
Westworld.
Stop it. But season 1 of our show cuts between 1849 and 1915.
Oh.
So we just took 2 slices out of the book to make the first 10 episodes. And again, I'm in charge of post on the show, and I'm having a blast. It's really great. And they shoot in Austin, and we have a wonderful supporting cast. And there's a fair amount of Comanche dialogue in the show in the
Oh, wow.
1849.
Wow.
So,
And there's a lot of research that went into it, and dialect coaches, and a lot of translation to Comanche, and folks who are working on getting it absolutely authentic, and it's really cool.
Now, given that it's not effects heavy, right? Or is it?
Well, it's got more effects than any of us expected, starting with kind of production cleanups like, oh, there's a jet trail in the sky. There's telephone lines
oh yeah, telephone lines.
where I'm seeing a reflection
Electric.
in that front window of a contemporary car.
Okay.
Those kinds of things. There are some set extension shots where you're shooting down a street in Austin, and after the part that we dressed with dirt and some old cars, you see a bicyclist riding through
Right.
and a stop sign. And anyway, so there's those kinds of visual effects, but it's not like creating a world per se like Battlestar Galactica.
So is it a different set of challenges that you're dealing with now, or just kind of you're able to use all your skills you built out over the years, and it's just delivering something slightly different?
Well, yeah, more the latter. I mean, there's some budget perks to working on a big show for AMC that I was not allowed on any of the Sci-Fi Channel stuff. Longer time on the mix stage, more money to re-record lines with the cast.
Yeah, especially the dialect stuff.
The dialect stuff, although Pierce's Texas accent is pretty impressive, and
For an Englishman,
Irish apparently.
Irishman.
Irish, yes.
He's Irish.
And so what can I say? You know, what's different is that this is never about let's get to editorial and re-break the story, or even on Defiance, which came from some pretty tight scripts. There was a fair amount of invention with visual effects and
Yeah.
blowing out sequences and doing things. There was one instance where we had a principal on the show that was scripted to be killed. I don't know that I want to spoil that. And we
On The
decided
Sun?
on Defiance.
Oh.
We decided in editorial, let's keep her alive. This really isn't that
The
satisfying.
sister.
It was Julie Benz.
Julie Benz. You can't kill Julie Benz.
And well, we all decided that. So we went back to Sci-Fi. and
That was
said,
the end
we-
of season 2?
3.
3.
We decided.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
We went back to Sci-Fi and said we can't kill Julie Benz, so we tweaked it to keep her alive. The point is, the scripts are very tight. It's not. It's more about we have 3 to 5 minutes extra to work with or trim out. But there's still a fair amount of polishing, and AMC has high standards that I'm excited to step up to, and so I think it's the perception of the process is probably more different than it really is.
Okay.
That's exciting on the
It's-
Walking Dead network.
Right?
That's huge.
I know.
The number one show in America.
Absolutely, right?
So
So yeah. So I'm
What
excited.
a
to
great
participate.
platform.
So
Thank you.
I imagine they're probably going to use the end of the second part of this season of Walking Dead as a launching platform into your show?
No.
No? Oh. Because they seem exactly the same.
No.
No?
They do.
They have nothing to do with one another. My understanding is that AMC has had a healthy Western audience. Like they program old Western movies, and Hell on Wheels did quite
Right.
well for them on Saturday nights, and that show has come to an end as scripted, and so we're going to replace it on Saturday nights, is my
Awesome.
understanding.
Nice.
So just
In April, so please watch for that.
Yes.
April on AMC.
April 2017.
Check your local listings. You've had an awesome run. You've done a lot of shows
yeah,
that,
thank you.
that
Yes.
I've watched and enjoyed over the years.
Oh, thank you. It's been a thrill. It really has been a lot of fun. And
So-
I'm about to go. We're wrapping The Sun. I'm wrapping post in mid-January.
Right.
And in mid-February, I start on a CBS summer show called Salvation,
Oh.
which is kind of a science fiction idea about an asteroid coming towards Earth, and it's going to air in May.
Right.
And then I hope to return to The Sun season 2, which I think may start shooting in October.
Well, hopefully,
Big career right here.
hopefully Salvation has a big impact on the ratings. So anyway,
Bok, bok,
Wonk,
bok,
wonk,
bok.
wonk, wonk.
There he is, ladies and gents.
Here all day.
Very punny.
Anyway, Paul, thanks for taking time.
Thank
Yes,
you,
Paul,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
inviting me. It was a lot of
Nice
fun.
fun.
Paul.
Good luck, guys.
And no worries.
Oh, can I add one thing?
Yes,
Okay.
right there.
Kevin Murphy, the showrunner of Defiance, is a wonderful writer and a kind of a fearless leader. No. And Kevin told me about The Sun. He's also the showrunner of The Sun, and
Oh,
that's why
cool.
I transitioned from Sci-Fi to AMC was to work with him again.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's fabulous.
And hopefully he has a lot of followers online.
I hope so.
Anyway, again, Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Paul.
appreciate your time.
Thank
Yes.
Hey, stick around. Check out our other shows. We'll see you later.
Hey, everyone.
It's James and Greg again. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that segment you just watched. We had a lot of fun doing it, didn't
Oh,
we?
God, we love doing these.
We don't even know what it was. But anyway, so we really need you to subscribe. Right down here is the subscribe button. Or if you've already subscribing on YouTube, like us on our Facebook page. Or what's over here, James?
These are other videos that are fan-frickin-tastic.
Do you like Dancing with the Stars, Amazing Race? We have recaps over here along with some of our adventures that we do.
Yeah, some adventures like what kind of hot sauce is the best at a restaurant? Or
What will James stick in his mouth next? Anyway, stick around. And we love it. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.